Hey YouTube, how the hell you doing? Now before we get started with today's episode, I gotta show off this piece of artwork here done by my good buddy Dwarf Comic. Done in awesome Dwarf Comic style. This is a piece entitled, How Rovad Butterfingers Got Their Name. And we can clearly see here Rovad Butterfingers fending off a Kia as they steal his artifact axe. You know, I really like this expression on his face, just clear desperation. Probably because he knows he'll become a pariah if he lets the thing get stolen. All these little slaps too just around the place really adds to the comedic effect, I'd say. Well, try as you might Rovad, we all know how it ends up for you. But at least he was eventually able to clear his name in the arena, where Rovad was pitted against a group of goblins and a beak dog. And we can see here another piece of artwork done by Zix, depicting that battle. And this piece actually came in with a little bit of narration. Here it is. Rovad Butterfingers stares down his final enemy, overcome with the thrill of battle and a burning desire to get a new name. And thankfully for him, he was able to succeed in the arena and clear his name. You know, I really like the face on this beak dog here, reminds me of a real life parrot. Kinda looks like a Kia too with this beak, how it's so pointy, which I'd say is fairly apt. And you know, I really like the style of these trees in the background too. I'm probably gonna steal that. Thank you very much. Well, fantastic work, Zix and Dwarf Comic. You guys are a couple of real bearded bastards. And as for the rest of you, guard those artifacts, watch for Kias, and prepare yourselves for today's episode. Hello YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fortress Zaludadil, Future Lanterns. Now right off the bat here YouTube, I want you to note that it still says Siege up in the corner here. That's from the siege at the end of last episode. I don't know why the hell that is. There are no loose invaders anywhere, although we do still have 50 plus goblins in cages, which we really have to do something with them this episode. We have already determined that the walkway to the arena does not work in its current state, which is a damn shame, mind you. So we're gonna have to come up with some sort of a workaround, assuming that we don't have another goblin siege come around. Well, really, they just came around with that last siege, so I can't imagine they'll be coming back in a huge hurry, so I think we have some time to work with. Let's get to it, eh? Alright, here we can see our nice walkway leading out over the arena. Let's see now. Now, the problem we were having, and a problem I've encountered in the past but apparently forgot about, is that you can't take a goblin and just walk them to a pit area then throw them off. Because a goblin could just break away from your dwarf and then turn around and start killing them, which, you know, isn't ideal. There is a way to take the weapons and armor away from one of the caged goblins, but A, it's kind of a pain in the ass, and B, you still have an enraged naked goblin beating one of your dwarves to death. The way people usually go about this whole problem is building an area over where you want to pit your creatures, putting the cages around that so that a dwarf can go rip a goblin out of a cage and then immediately throw them down into the pit, eliminating the need to travel at all with the goblin. But of course, if we did that, we wouldn't need our prison anymore, which would, you know, that's a gigantic shame right there. I love this place, it's fantastic. A big old tower filled with screaming goblins. It's a lovely thing. Alright, so, let me just think about this for a second. I gotta get some things situated first, and then we'll get to work. Speaking of getting things situated, our hospital down here is in sore need of an update. It's, kinda dumpy, down in one of the tunnels under the fortress. Yeah, we're gonna need a new hospital by the end of the episode, too. Currently, we only have the 4 beds in here, and we really should have a lot more than that, especially if we're gonna be fighting goblins. Yeah, that won't do. We really have to come up with something. Guess I'll add it to my to-do list. Alright YouTube, I think I've come up with a solution to our arena problem here. Now a few episodes ago, you probably remember I tried to solve our aquifer problem by constructing a wall and then dropping it down into the water, hoping that that wall would stay in its form, but it did not. It just kind of blew apart into a bunch of logs. So I'm thinking I'm going to build an up staircase just like this, and then right next to it a wall. And then above that, an up down staircase and another wall, and just keep going up, making a long pillar, on top of which, once it gets to an equal level as this walkway here, I'm going to build a large enclosure, just kind of a suspended room, built precariously on top of that long pillar. Oh wait, that's actually totally lame. Better idea, YouTube. Scratch that. Instead of that, over on the sides of this walkway, I'm going to build a couple of walls, and then we'll build an arm up over this walkway right here. And then attached to that arm, we'll build a support, and then attached to that support, we'll build a small room. In that room, we'll throw goblin cages, connect those goblin cages up to levers, and then we can lock up that room so it's all nice and enclosed and suspended over the arena. And then whenever we're ready to release those goblins, we could drop the entire cage down into the arena. And then when it hits the ground, the goblins will be free to just kind of run around, do as they will, fight my dwarves, and they probably won't be injured at all. Probably. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, honestly. But darn it, it's going to be interesting anyways, so why the hell not? Oh man, would you look at that? Our little corpse pile over here is getting filled right up with goblins. Yeah, I mean, look at it, it's brimming. There has to be almost 300 goblins in here now, not to mention the beak dogs. Yeah, it's a mess. And up in this hall, there's still plenty of goblin corpses to go down there too. Well, I'll tell you what, it certainly is more manageable than what we had in Delerschelid. At least we don't have to worry about crushing them all. We can just leave them in a big old pile outside. Luxurious. And now the goblins will be able to smell us from miles away. The stink of their dead comrades baking in the sun. Alright, we just managed to get our nice new hospital dug out, and you can see I even managed to get the walls finished up with some nice logs, the floors as well. So good, we have a nice new place for a hospital. But what we really need is a well in here, so our medical dwarves can clean wounds and that sort of stuff. Now with a well, the problem we run into is the aquifer, because if we dig down just a couple of levels, we're going to hit that water. And I don't know if aquifer water is considered to be clean, because some water is considered to be contaminated with mud, or just be stagnant. I'm not sure what aquifer water is. I have a feeling that it's clean, but I don't really know. But in all honesty, it seems a little silly to dig a couple feet down into the dirt and start splashing that muddy water up onto wounds. Even if it is considered to be clean water from a role-playing perspective, that's nasty. So what we're going to do is dig out this big room here, get those walls and the floors nicened up with some rock blocks, and we'll see where we go from there. If you take a look up here, we now have this arm finished that I was talking about. Now see, the dwarves will go up these stairs here, a couple levels, to this arm which kind of swings around, then down this other staircase here, to where the top of our goblin cage chamber is going to be. That way it'd be really easy to build a support there. So now, if my calculations are not sorely amiss, I should be able to build a little chamber out from this bridge here, without it falling down immediately. Oh goody, Rigoth Tekuddelith, the Cogs dwarf, is taken by a fey mood. More mechanisms, I'm sure. I await with bated breath. Rigoth Tekuddelith, the Cogs dwarf, has created Dimshasstrith, a Hematite Mechanisms. Let's take a look. That is 2 mechanisms in a row, by the way. Puzzle Monk, the Poetic Spy. Okay. Oh my lord. Yeah, it's got a lot on there. A Hematite Mechanism. All craft dwarfship is of the highest quality, encrusted with single-cut rose quartzes. It menaces with spikes of lavender jade, cedar, and skunk leather. Alright, let's see, there's an image of a creature of shadow in hematite, striking down a goblin, sometime in the distant past, here in this forest, as well as an image of Rith, the Pride Baron, in hematite. He is striking a menacing pose. That image relates to Pride Baron returning as a secretive poltergeist in this fortress. Very interesting. There's also an image of Release Busted, the gold earring, in native gold. I believe that's an artifact we made in Delerschelid, as well as an image of Geshud entered channels the dwarf in Aventurine. I don't know who the hell that is. An image of Minkot Boatsruff, the dwarf, and dwarves in Pipe Opal. That's a dwarf who was queen of our civilization in 58. And to finish it off, an image of 2 giant ibexes in Gabbro. Holy hell, huh? Oh wow, that thing was valued at 109,000. I feel like that's a lot. Let's take a look. Yeah, the last mechanism was 14,000. Piece of garbage. That is by far the most valuable artifact we've made in this fortress. Well, you know what, Rigoth? I'll tell you what. I haven't given a nickname to any dwarves in a while, so you're gonna get one. Mostly because that last artifact mechanism was so damn boring and this one's so flashy. It's almost as if you felt the need to upstage that previous dwarf and their lifetime's greatest achievement, which is just obnoxious. And so for that you receive the name, The Show Off. Now if you'd be so kind as to throw it in the pile and get back to work. Thank you. Alright YouTube, I've let some time pass and now you can see the layout of this cage that I'm making for the goblins. And in fact I do have all the goblin cages in there. Now we're just putting a few final touches on the cage itself, and after that we have to go through the long tedious process of linking up all these cages to a lever. Because I've got the feeling that if these goblins are in cages when this box hits the ground, they won't just be released from their cages. So I'm going to get them all linked up, let them out of their cages, and then drop this box cage device down into the arena. And hopefully we can get all these preparations done by the time the summer hunt comes around. Right now it's late winter, so we should be able to do it unless anything catastrophic happens. In other news, you can see this hospital is coming right along. I have finished up the floors and the walls with some nice gabbro blocks. Now the idea is, you can see over here, this is where we dug down to the water in the aquifer. And it is now in fact filled up with water. So I'm going to build a screw pump, just like this, okay? And now hopefully this screw pump should take water out of that aquifer pit right there and just dump it out into this big enclosed chamber. I'm fairly certain it's going to work just like I expect it to. It's funny that I could still think that. Alrighty, looks like that screw pump is all set. So then, let's get it a-pumping. And there we go, the water is a-flowing. In fact, it would appear that the pump is sucking this water out of this pit faster than it can replenish. Alright YouTube, our new well is all set now, and looking good. No problems came up, which is actually a gigantic surprise. Yeah, looks like we're good. Here's something pretty cool YouTube. It looks like our dwarves have been hard at work encrusting all of our wooden figurines with gems, which is really cool. Like here, take a look at this one, a pecan wood figurine of a bat. It is encircled with bands of well-crafted rose-cut green zircons. That's pretty interesting really. A few of them are like that. Some of them are goddamn crazy, like look at this thing. It's basically an artifact. It's a willow figurine of a dwarf, one of the ones I had commissioned earlier. It is encrusted with cushion-cut carnelians, well-crafted cushion-cut yellow jaspers, and well-crafted single-cut rose quartzes. This object is adorned with hanging rings of milk quartz, and menaces with spikes of superior quality lapis lazuli and gray chalcedony. On the item is a finely designed image of two dogs in smoky quartz by Dacosta O'Kenkicrost. Pretty darn cool, huh? And yet it's only worth 320 value. Oh dwarves. Well hey now YouTube, would you look at this? It looks like we've caught ourselves a cougar. That is pretty amazing. Hopefully we can get a male at some point. I would gladly throw all of our other animals away if we could just have cougars. Totally rad. Ah, Eshtan Kerligolin, the boar has been possessed. I always like when the military dwarves get their strange moods. And it looks like he was a mason too, albeit a fairly rusty mason. So hopefully he'll make something better than mechanisms. Hey look, I was wrong. There's actually something more boring than a mechanism. Eshtan Kerligolin, the boar, has created Illerith, a Garnierite Millstone. Let's take a look. The wordy scar. Alright, it's a millstone. It is encrusted with round, brilliant cut smoky quartzes and encircled with bands of oval Garnierite cabicons. This object menaces with spikes of Garnierite. How very dull. Well, throw it in the pile and get back to work. Let's hope the next artifact isn't a piece of crap. Alright YouTube, if you take a look over here, it's actually the 3rd of Hematite 1041. Early summer. But YouTube, we have a problem. All these goblin cages are not currently linked up to a lever. I'm through maybe half of them right now. It's kind of a lengthy process. I think if I do this again, I'm actually going to put down several levers, each one attached to a few different cages. That would speed up the process, I believe. Well, it's only early summer at the moment, so I'm going to keep going, see how many I can get linked up to a lever. And if we start getting close to the end of summer, then we'll just let it go. Alright YouTube, I tried to get as many of these cages linked up as I possibly could, but it's now late summer and so we have to get moving on this whole project here. So I guess I'm going to close the box up, and then detach it from the walkway so that it's swinging free. And then we'll be ready for the summer hunt! 'Twill be glorious. Oh shit, look at this. Fath Ultarlashan has created a masterpiece Osprey Woman Egg Roast. So it looks like the dwarves are eating those things. I wasn't sure, I thought maybe they would just try to like avoid eating them because they are sentient creature babies. Oh dwarves. Alright, now the box is all closed up. Getting rid of this one last ramp right here. And seeing as how the goblin box is now totally enclosed, I suppose we can pull the lever to release the goblin cages that we linked up. Actually, that's probably a good experiment idea. I'm pretty curious to see what happens to those goblins that are still in cages when that box falls. Alright, now I'm going to pull the goblin lever there, and the goblins are free. A little bit more than half of them now. The other half, of course, are still locked in cages. I am very interested to see how this goes, YouTube. This is going to be a good summer hunt, I'll tell you. Just a few more seconds now and the box should be completely suspended by that one support. There we go. Beauteous. Just imagine this big wooden box suspended above the arena. The muffled cries of the goblins can be heard from within. Maybe there's a few cracks in there through which they can wiggle their little green arms, grasping for any hope. There is none. 15th of Galeta, 1041. Late summer. We better get this show started. Let's see, who's going to perform this year? There's 36 goblins in there, and they're probably going to be severely wounded when they get to the bottom, if they survive. I'm thinking of sending in the Osprey's Eye this year. Our current mayor and his wife are both members of this squad. I think they could use some glory, perhaps a new nickname. That'd be pretty cool. So the Osprey's Eye gets to battle this year. Come, dwarves. Glory awaits. Looks like we have a couple of spearmasters in there. That's pretty cool. Now then, dwarves of Zaludadil. It is time for the summer hunt of 1041. And this year we have a special performance to put on. A little experiment, if you will. Now we all remember those green-skinned invaders that attacked us last year. Well, they've spent some time seasoning in our prison, and now they're ready to perform for you. High above the arena, we've constructed a wooden tomb, into which we've thrown the goblins. It hangs there now, quite precariously, mind you. Moments from now it shall fall to the arena floor, and the dwarves of the Osprey Eye will rip them to shreds. 'Twill be glorious, dwarves. Who's ready for blood? Pull the lever, and let's begin the summer hunt of 1041. Now, I'm not too sure where I want to look. Do I want to look up top or down at the arena floor? I guess the floor makes more sense. Alright, the lever is set to be pulled. Let's watch. Okay, here we go. The game paused itself. Oh my god. Just a trail of smoke leading all the way down. Alright, let's unpause it. Holy shit, huh? I don't know what I was expecting. That is a thing of beauty. Alright, well, looks like that box just kind of dropped and killed all of the goblins inside. Yeah, not totally surprised, I suppose. Yeah, it didn't even give me a combat for any of those goblins. They must have just been obliterated when they hit the ground. Well, now we know anyways. You know, now that I think of it, a much better idea would have been to build a room at the end of the walkway and make the floor of that room be a bridge. So I could arrange those cages in there, link those cages up to levers, lock up the room, let the goblins out, and then I could just keep, like flipping open that bridge and the goblins will just fall out into the arena. And that way the majority of goblins would remain in our prison tower, while the ones we want to throw in the arena we could set up in this room. Oh well, it was a spectacle. I enjoyed it. And now we know that doesn't work. Just picture the arena floor right now, just shards of wood and goblin corpses all over the place. I mean, that wasn't very entertaining for us to watch, really, I mean, when you get down to it, but imagine what those dwarves got to see. Just this giant wooden box falling from the sky and smashing on the arena floor. Yeah, they seem to have enjoyed that. A successful summer hunt! Glory to the dwarves of Zaludadil! We'll have to start preparations for the next summer hunt right away. Oh, and very interesting too, this entire time we've been under siege, but now we no longer are. I wonder if it's because we had so many of those goblins in cages. It still considered us to be under siege for some reason. Well, good. Fantastic. Oh, and right, I forgot about the Osprey's Eye. You poor, poor dwarves. There'll be no fighting this year, I'm afraid, and you missed one hell of a show. My deepest apologies. Maybe next year? Sorry. Ha! Fantastic. It seems that those goblins really want to give us a performance, eh? A vile force of darkness has arrived. Beautiful. I'll tell ya. Still a bunch of recruits and wrestlers. Man, oh man, I will tell ya. Alrighty, dwarves, let's all get into the fortress. Now, let's go. Do not tarry, because the real show is about to begin. I gotta tell you, YouTube, I think this might be my favorite fortress. I mean, Delerschlit is frigging awesome and all that stuff. But holy hell, this place is exciting. Alright everyone, let's go, let's go. The goblins have arrived and they're plenty pissed. And I've got a feeling it's gonna be another big one, YouTube. I love it. We'll kill every last one of you. You know, it's actually a real shame they won't be passing by our massive goblin corpse piles. Maybe we should put that over in the top left corner so they have to walk through it. That'd be nice, I think. Still coming, and I feel like there's more armed goblins this time. Maybe they're starting to get serious. This might be a bit rougher than last time, YouTube. Let's take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of invaders, and they are still coming, slowly. So let's close up the front gates, just like that, and we'll do the same thing that we did last siege. Let them in through the long hall, get a bunch of them caught in cage traps, and then come in from behind. It should work out pretty okay, I think. 237 goblins, YouTube. No beak dogs this time either, which is kind of strange. And yes, I am fairly confident that many more of them are armed this time. But we can also take into account that my dwarves are better skilled with their weapons now. We do have quite a few more spear masters than we did last time, 28 to be exact. And now everyone in the army is equipped with steel greaves, and a fair number of them have steel gauntlets as well. So that's good. Now, I actually forgot to mention that last siege, no goblins escaped. Not one single goblin managed to get back home. And you know, usually it kind of bugs me from a roleplay perspective when goblins attack and take the same path again and again and again. But since nobody got home from that last siege, it makes sense that these goblins would try the same path. Nobody was able to tell them it's not a good way to go. And so come on up, goblins. I'm curious what they think of all this tattered troll fur clothing here on the ground. Some vomit there too. Most of the blood's been cleaned up. That's strange. What's all this tattered goblin clothing and armor doing on the ground? And what's this, spear holes? That's odd. I don't know how those got in there. Weird. A bit worrisome. They seem a bit more stretched out this time. A bunch of the armed goblins are in the back here. It'd be so much better if we can get them all crammed in that long hall. But oh well, I suppose. The first of the goblins are stuck in the cage traps, and I should start assembling the dwarves underground. Right here. So many spear masters, that is fantastic. Oh boy, the front of their column is almost through the cage trap area, which means we're gonna have to lock up those doors and get those dwarves out there. But there are still quite a few goblins outside the hall, which isn't great. Ugh, we gotta start moving, I think. Alright, now just like last time, dwarves, kill all of these goblins. The order is given, the door is unlocked. Let's do this. Game is unpaused, and the dwarves have begun to move out. This is gonna be beautiful, I think, YouTube. Here come the first of the dwarves. 5 spear masters. Oh my god, and just a barrage of arrows greets them as they exit the door. Keep moving, dwarves. Stay low. Martial trances. A goblin has died. Almost all of the spear masters are in martial trances right now. Just stabbing their way through the horde. Those damn bowmen. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm pretty sure they're the worst ones to go up against. Alright, the few goblins down here look to be dead. Oh, I think we've lost a dwarf already. Dodak Rakastabad, one of the boars. Keep fighting, dwarves. We had begun this combat at 189 dwarves. The army is moving up the slope, towards the hallway now. Dwarves are now moving up into the long hall. Bolts and arrows flying in waves down the hall. All it takes is one arrow to hit a dwarf, give him that little bit of pain right there, and that just throws off their entire combat ability. Not to mention the fact that that one arrow could just smash into their skull, destroying their brain. Seeing wounded dwarves now. A few of them. One of the timber wolves has been found dead. Keep fighting, dwarves. They're just goblins. We are the dwarves of Zaludidil. They stand no chance. They're rounding the corner and are greeted again by another wave of arrows and bolts. Katan the Iron Tamer has withdrawn from society. That's actually fairly fascinating. Well, good luck to you, buddy. We've got bigger things to attend to at the moment. The dwarves are now finishing off the remaining goblins. There are not many of them left. Just a few stragglers remain. And that looks to be all of them. Well, except for 2, seemingly. One of which is a goblin that is in our prison. I have no clue how he got in there. Let's take care of that real quick. No doubt he's in full-blown panic mode at the moment. He doesn't know where he is. He's in the ground floor of the prison, probably bewildered. Panic sets in. He no longer hears the cries of his brethren. He has no clue how close death is. It is here. Oh, and it appears we have another wounded goblin over here, just kind of wandering around in this field here. Take care of that real quick. And that'll do it for the goblins. But unfortunately, we lost a few more dwarves than we did last time, down to 184 now. We lost 5 dwarves so far. A couple succumbed to their wounds after the fighting. Acceptable losses though, I suppose. Well, it looks like I got this hospital done in time, huh? Also, this well here seems to have become the new hangout for all the local kids. Very odd. Well, you know, I suppose that was another successful siege, YouTube. Although I am beginning to get a little concerned over the loss of dwarves. I still haven't replaced the ones that we lost from that previous siege. I guess I should probably do that. So who wants to be in the army? I'm looking at you, farms dwarves. Katan Nisharkim, the Iron Tamer, has created Solamfash, a perfect yellow zircon. Interesting. Let's take a look. Nation Parch. This is a perfect yellow zircon. All craft dwarfship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with square, brilliant cut yellow zircons. Fairly straightforward. And it's actually worth a surprising amount. Pretty neat. Now throw it in the pile and get back to work. Looky here, YouTube. One of our wild boar sows kicked a dwarven child in the right upper leg, which bruised the muscle. Usually not a big deal, but they kicked him so hard that it bent the child's hip, tearing apart the muscle and tearing apart the muscle? Huh, a little redundant. Poor child, Ficod, painted breech. Oh, it's a little girl, 5 years old. Bastard pig. We'll have to put it down. That is not acceptable. And you, child, get a nickname. From this day forward, you shall be known as Pork Chop. Horrible nickname, but it's apt. Grow up strong, little pork chop. And you, wild boar sow, are getting sent to the butcher. Some time has passed, YouTube, and you can see I have moved our corpse piles right over here, up in the northwest. So now the goblins have to walk through them in order to access our fortress, which I think is just an awesome thing. Look at all these corpses, huh? That's amazing. Good stuff. I'm trying to think of something fun I could do with them, but I'm not sure what. Actually, you know, as I'm saying this, an interesting idea has occurred to me. Remember those failed log bridge catapults? Maybe I can try out that, but just put corpses on them instead? That'd be kind of fun. It's a thought. I'm not sure if I'll get around to it. Although one thing I think I'm going to have to do is gussy up this area a little bit. I mean, a corpse pile is cool and all, but it needs something else, a little pizzazz. So something I'm thinking is I'm gonna make a bunch of pillars, just log pillars, just out of the ground, different heights, just kind of all over the place. And on top of each one, I'm gonna put a statue of a monarch butterfly man. I think that'll look fairly imposing. Not some cutesy old butterfly either. You know what I'm talking about. He's gonna have swords and be screaming or something like that. Make those goblins think twice about coming to Zaludadil. I'm gonna get started on that, and I'm gonna see how far we get on some sort of a corpse throwing device. Oh man, YouTube. You know what? I just realized it's the 5th of Hematite 1042. Early summer, and unfortunately I have done no preparations whatsoever for this year's summer hunt. Psych, I gotcha. Take a look here, YouTube. I didn't bother going over the whole setup and stuff because I already kind of explained it earlier, but we now have a room here at the end of the walkway with a bridge as the floor. All the cages are arranged around it, each one is attached to a lever, and it's ready to go. So you better be excited, YouTube, because the summer hunt of 1042 is about to begin. Very exciting. Oh, and just for your reference, YouTube, I did set up a bunch of levers this time, each one attached to multiple cages, and that made the whole process much, much faster. I would advise doing that if you ever try this yourself. Anywho, Dwarves of Zaludadil. I've heard that rain is in the forecast. Green, screaming rain. In the form of goblins. High above the arena, once again we have constructed a room. From this room shall rain doomed goblins. Goblins who will face the osprey eye in the arena. There will be blood. There will be glory. That much is sure. But who will come out on top? Time will tell. Now, without further ado, let the summer hunt of 1042 begin. Pull the levers. First, I have to pull all these levers to release the goblins from their cages. Oh yes, we have some free goblins now. Okay, all the goblins are free. Now let's pull the final lever. Alright, let's watch up here, see what happens. There we go. Beautiful. Looks like most of the goblins fell too. I have the game paused. And we can see a bunch of the cages and mechanisms are falling alongside the goblins. Let's watch the ground. Beautiful. A bunch of the goblins died on impact, and many of the others are wounded. They are all panicked. Well, before they can collect themselves, Osprey's Eye, get out here. The hunt is on. Here come the dwarves. There are a few recruits in here. Let's hope they do well. Slaying goblins already. Not even an issue. Dwarves of Zaludadil in their element. It's a beautiful sight. The goblins do not stand a chance. Beautiful. Good job. Ah, the dwarf has died. How? That doesn't make any sense. What happened? It looks like one of the goblins were really able to lay into him during that fighting there. Like real bad. Got its morning star stuck in his body. Yeah, that'll do it, I suppose. Well, that's a shame. Our first arena death. Damn it, it looks like it was one of the recruits too. Poor guy. But I suppose that's what the arena is all about. I'm not too sure who should be the winner this year. Well, oh, you know, I guess I can see who killed the most goblins in 1042. We haven't had any sieges this year. Well, looks like the winner of this year's summer hunt is Zasset Bakarnomal, a dwarf from Steelclutches, with 6 kills. And it was close, a couple other dwarves actually had 5 kills. But you come out on top, Zasset, good job. And for winning in such glorious fashion, from this day forward you shall be known as Rainbreaker, seeing as how you're able to fend off waves of raining goblins. Good job, buddy. I hope to see more good work from you in the future. Alright, now show's over, everyone get back to work, will ya? And you know, I'm thinking that dwarf who perished in the arena here, maybe I should make some sort of a memorial or something to him. That seems nice. We'll make a steel statue, just one, of Endok Odamkokeb, striking a triumphant pose. There we go. Gets the point across well. Another successful summer hunt, I'd say. Good job all, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Well, YouTube, it's about time to start wrapping up this episode, I think. And yet another exciting episode, might I say. We had a big siege. A big angry siege, mind you, a bunch of armed goblins. I think the sieges are going to be ugly from here on out. I find it odd that we haven't seen a single troll so far, and very few beak dogs. Also, so many recruit goblins, very odd. Well, you guys keep sending them, we'll keep destroying them. That works for us. Now let's see, what do we do this episode? We have our nice new hospital down here. Really not much to look at, but it gets the point across, I suppose. Some place for our wounded warriors to recuperate. And of course, underneath we have our functioning new reservoir area, with ice-cold, stone-cooled water, with not a single trace of dirt to be seen, mind you. That is good stuff. Over here we have our nice gigantic goblin corpse pile. More and more corpses being added every minute. I have not yet built any bridge catapults out here, but I will get to that. I really want to see how it works. I mean, I guess I know how it's going to work. Imagine goblin corpses raining from the sky around invaders. Yeah, I gotta make that happen. Over here you can actually see that we built those log pillars and put butterfly man statues on top of each. 8 of them. And perhaps I'll build more in the future. Oh, and of course we can't forget our new arena goblin dropping room, I don't know what you would call it. That seemed to work out pretty okay, huh? I'm not sure if we'll use this thing every year, maybe like every other year. Goblins raining from the sky every year might get boring over time. Perhaps, perhaps. Well, YouTube, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll join me next time. And do not forget to leave your comments below. I need to know what you think. Should we stay here in Zalutadil? Should we forge onward to a new fortress? The choice is yours, YouTube. And whatever you decide, I can make that happen in interesting fashion. Well, YouTube, same time, same place, next week, here in Zalutadil. Future Lanterns. And until then...